Here we go, party people. My Killer Tape Back, episode 67. Woo! We doing it big, right? Doing big things, right? I just ain't seen no money yet. But anyway, we're gonna talk about what chain tuckers are. I got some comic book recommendations for y'all. Do y'all be getting those IRS scam callers, man? Y'all be getting that? I talk about law of attraction and how it's BS, right? And then shout out to Mom's Word, because it's Mom's Day today. And I'm gonna bring back the health segment. Word, check it out. Hey yo Boogie, how that joint go? It goes. You said you talk it back to a lumberjack with an act in the backpack in the back of an act. This is capital punishment. Ha ha!
I like that shot. I like how this one felt. Good.
Yo, where my killer tape at, B? For episode 67 of Where My Killer Tape At, I had to come back to this, man. It's been a while. It's been a couple of months. Cameron Bruins Early Bird Breakfast Barley Wine. Oh, my God, I love this stuff, man. Shout out to y'all, man. It tastes so good. One can, and I'm good for the night. You know what I'm saying? A pint, actually. I'm good for the night. So shout out to the Barrel House that always hooks me up with this. And shout out to my boy Deezer, man. This is like our favorite joint. Word is born. Yo, this one is funny, man. Fuck the Alphabet Boys, first of all. But I know a lot of y'all, I get them all the time. The IRS robocalls, or quote unquote IRS robocalls. They're not really the IRS. I know people also get them from the Social Security Administration. And it's always like an urgent call, and they be like, oh, if you don't call us back, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna be in trouble. Right? So here's my funny story is that they usually call me in the morning. They usually call me like around 8, 9 in the morning, but I'm at work, so I don't pick up my phone at work. Also, if it's a number I don't recognize, I let it go to voicemail. So if it doesn't come up, that I'm like, I don't know who that is, and I check out the voicemail later. Usually, what ends up happening is I check that voicemail at night, but because by the time I get home, do what I got to do, you know what I'm saying, spend time with my family, whatever. I forget. So I check my voicemail, and it's funny because I always listen to it, and they be like, "Oh, if you don't call us back in 4 hours, our IRS agents will be coming to your door to arrest you." And again, I get those robocalls like at 9 in the morning. Here I am at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. You know what I'm saying? Listening to the voicemail, like, where y'all at? Where the Alphabet Boys at? They're not here. But it's a scam, y'all. I know it sounds scary because of the urgency of the voice and the things that they say that they're gonna do to you, but it's all a scam. If the federal government is trying to reach you, they usually reach you by notice, and they want you to go to their local office or whatever. But if they are coming to arrest you, they usually serve a warrant first. So just to give you a heads up on that, usually the sheriff will knock on your door. How do I know this? Don't worry about how I know this. Just trying to ease y'all real quick, all right? Word is born. I got an anonymous DM. Word up. Shout out to you. I see you. Word is born. And thank you for the support. But they were asking about the law of attraction and what I thought about it. And I couldn't remember if I talked about it on the show or not. I had to look back. Anyway, and I was saying this before I was an atheist. Like, the law of attraction is bullshit. Like, it is like, and let me just be upfront. I'm going to say 80% of what we consider self-help, 80% of that stuff is really victim blaming. And the reason why I say this, because there's a lot of things that prevent you from reaching certain things, right? Access, right? Money, where you live at, like all those things affect the things that you can actually get to sometimes. If you don't believe me, go see how much it costs to go to college. Like, just look at that. Like, that shit right there is enough to convince you. And I know I'm going off on a tangent, but the law of attraction is the idea that you attract certain things to you whether it's energy, whether it's romance, whether it's abuse, different things, like, so what they're trying to say is that whatever you project out comes back to you. So if I'm somebody who projects negativity, I am going to get negativity. Now, there has been scientific studies, there's been, that are done on people that have like negative thinking and what happens and how they sometimes always seem to be falling into negative situations. I could talk about that in a different podcast. But that doesn't mean the law of attraction works. Again, it's victim blaming, because they'll say that if you're like a negative person, negative people are going to come around you. So I really tell people to really be careful with that thing, because a lot of times we end up blaming ourselves for things that we have no control over it. Are there some things that we should blame ourselves for? Yeah, we should. There's some bad decisions that we make all the time. We make bad decisions all the time. Some of them are really bad, and some of them are not so bad. So like, and we can go on and on about that as well. But again, law of attraction is another thing that people make money off of. Shout out to capitalism, right? And they have people believing that stuff works, and it doesn't. If you see somebody that's in an abusive relationship, people will always say, well, you put that out to the universe, so it came back, and now you're being abused. And I'm like, that shit don't make no fucking sense. You know what I'm saying? How do I know this? Because abusers manipulate people. They isolate people, particularly people that they feel are weak. And they're predators. So they prey on people. So it's not like it's something that I've done that it comes back to me. The best example I always give people is that, and I mentioned it earlier when we talked about chain tuckers. You never thought I'd say chain tuckers, the law of attraction, the same sentence. I got you on that one, right? I knew a lot of kids that, were stick-up kids when I was young, and now they're family men. And they got kids and stuff like that. And none of that stuff came back. And that's karma right there, right? We say that's karma. That stuff just never came back. If they stayed in that lifestyle, would that have happened? Definitely so, because that's just law of mathematics, right? Word. Yo, shout out to the late great Sean Price. And for those of you that know me here, when my killer tape back, I am a huge fan of Sean Price, one half of Helter Skelter, and a member of the Boot Camp Clique. A lot of stuff in the early 90s, mid 90s, and he did a lot of stuff. Really, to be honest, his recent stuff was probably, like, in my opinion, and I'll probably get beat up for this, the best stuff in the Boot Camp Clique catalog. I know people go, oh, what about Black Moon? But, we could debate that some other time, and I'm pretty sure I'll be getting some ugly tweets about this. But, anyway, he always talks about chain tuckers. What are chain tuckers? It sounds just like it does, right? Chain tuckers are cats that, they used to tuck their chains in so they wouldn't get stuck up. The reason why I laugh is because I myself was a chain tucker. I was not a stick-up kid. And it's funny because Brooklyn is kind of like the capital of stick-up kids in New York City. So, like, when you went out, especially at night, you tuck the chain into your shirt so that nobody would see it. And a lot of it, too, is because people used to actually, like, snatch chains. Like, you could be sitting in the train, and before the doors close, somebody could pull their arm out, and they'll snatch a chain off. Like, yeah, that happened a lot. So people were really good at that. So it was always just smart to tuck your chain in. So I always laugh when I hear him say that. He says it a lot. And it's supposed to imply that you're a little punk or a sucker. I shouldn't use punk, but that you're somebody that's soft or whatever. So and that's what that implies. But I was a chain tucker myself. But shout out to Sean Price. Word is born. This is happens to me quite often, and a lot of times I have to figure out how to choose my battles. When to shut the fuck up and when to say something. But y'all know me. I'm an atheist, and I usually try to keep that to myself. Of course, it's my show. I can talk about these things. And anyway, I do a lot of speaking engagements. I speak at a lot of events. I need to start getting paid more for that, right? I need to start getting paid for most of those things. Or people ask me to interview me or whatever about certain things. And what ends up happening is of course, you always meet people afterward, and people always want to collaborate with you, link up with you, which is cool. And let me just say this real quick. If I had a nickel for every time somebody said they wanted to do something with me, I'd be a millionaire. And a lot of times, I'm gonna say 98% of the time, nothing ever happens. But what ends up happening is like people will run up on me and they'll be like, "Oh, you're so spiritual, and I could tell you're a man of God, and blah 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 blah," and they go on, and I be like, I feel some type of way because number one, I feel like I'm being dishonest if I don't say something. Like they just go on, and they just shower me with these quote unquote compliments, and I'm like, "Yo, should I say something, B?" And usually the only time I actually say something is if they hit me up and they say, "Hey, like for example, I had somebody say, "Hey, we're gonna have this retreat, and I'm gonna have my pastor speaking. You know what I'm saying? Would you like to come and speak?" And I had to tell them, I said, "Hey, man, I'm an atheist. I don't know if you knew that. I just want to put that out there. Like, no disrespect. I just, and they were cool about it. It was like, oh, I didn't know. They were cool about it. But a lot of times I worry that, somebody might be like, yo, what the fuck? Like you tell me, which, at the same time, I don't got to tell nobody nothing, right? But I just kind of feel like I want that person to be quiet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want them to run and be like, yo, yo, you dope or whatever. You do this, you a man of God. Because they say that a lot. They be like, you a man of God, even though, you know what I'm saying? Like that word don't even be coming out of my mouth like that. So, and it also kind of like bugs me because like people feel like if you're not coming from a spiritual place that you ain't got nothing to say, and that shit is kind of fucked up. You know what I mean? So like, but I always have to choose my battles and figure out where I'm gonna go with it sometimes. And I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of times I don't say nothing, man. I just keep it moving because I know that when they want to link up or collaborate on something, it's not gonna happen anyway. So but anyway, if you want to book me for that, I'm gonna put that information in the show notes. But it's something that I think about a lot, because I want to have, I'm the type of person that I want full disclosure. I want to be as transparent as possible with, anybody I interact with, especially if you're gonna pay me money to come speak and you have me come to your event and speak. Because I don't want no surprises. You know what I mean? I don't want nobody to feel like, damn, bro, you ambushed my pastor or whatever. So that's just how I feel sometimes. But shout out to those who actually still reach out and be like, even when I tell them that, they still be like, word, for real. As I'm recording this, it is Mom's Day, and happy Mom's Day to all the moms out there. But I also want to say happy Mom's Day to grandmas and aunties, tias, people that fill in, people that, take up the work. You know what I'm saying? Like I know a lot of teachers who do, people that adopt, children, all of those. Because a lot of times we forget that the grandmas, we forget all of them for Mother's Day, definitely. And in the show notes, I'm gonna put a link for the Free Black Mamas, which is an organization it comes from the end the money bailout, cash bailout movement across the country. And what they do every Mother's Day is that they free mothers who cannot afford bail. And I'm against cash bail. I feel like people should be released, especially for small crimes, non-offensive, violent crimes. You know what I'm saying? So like, cause that shit is fucked up. People are in prison. They're in jail, for 30 something days because they can't afford, to pay the bill out. You know what I'm saying? So let's do that. I'm gonna put that in there. But once again, it's for all of y'all. I love my mom, and she knows I'm a mama's boy. So, but let's do it. Let's do it that way, man. Let's really, if we really care about our mamas, let's show and prove that. Word. A lot of people been talking about Ayesha Curry, and let me just say this, man. I love the Currys, man. I really do, man. I think they're cute. I love them, man. I love seeing people in love, especially young couples. I love that, man. You know what I'm saying? It gets me in the heart, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's dope seeing people in love. And I know that she was in an interview where she talked about how she doesn't feel like, and I'm paraphrasing, right? She doesn't feel like she's desired, and she's a mom. She has 3 kids. She's staying home, and you know what? And I get the idea that she said some problematic shit, a couple years back, where she was kind of like slut shaming people in a very condescending way, where it didn't sound like it was slut shaming, but it was. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people do that. I noticed that a lot of people do that, like particularly people that are in relationships, they'll say some slut shaming shit, and it's fucked up. So, and I think like a lot of times, like there's no such thing as cancel culture. First of all, there is dragging culture though. Like people get dragged, and she got dragged for that shit. And she didn't. She doubled down on it. She ain't like ever come back and apologize. So I know people are upset because she's come out and said that she kind of like seeks that validation where cats is like still trying to holler at her. You know what I'm saying? And I'm paraphrasing. You know what I'm saying? Just because that's not exactly what she said. But and a couple of things I want to say first. Like yeah, true indeed. I don't think she came around with with her first situation where she was kind of like slut shaming. I don't think she ever came around and ever said, and if I'm wrong, somebody let me know. But she's never apologized. She's never come out and said, hey, I got to rethink that. You know what I'm saying? I think she did a tweet where she said, I think if I remember correctly, she actually said, I apologize if I hurt anybody, which is not really an apology if you ask me, because you hurt people. It's not if you hurt people, but anyway, I try not to like drag people for something like that. And here's why, because I used to slut shame too. You know what I'm saying? I could just introduce to a lot of people who tell you, yeah, he used to do that. I'm not justifying it or anything like that. I'm still fixing those things and I'm learning how to fix it. I'm still learning. You know what I'm saying? But that's still the second thing I want to say is that it doesn't like what she said is still valid. Maybe it's coming from maybe if it came from a different person, the conversation would be different. But it's valid, and I hear a lot of women say that, particularly older women that's been in relationships for a long time, and growing up, their kids have grown up, and a lot of them, I hear a lot of them say it, like they don't feel attractive, they don't feel like what I'm saying, like and let's be real, like we do two things. This is the third thing I want to talk about. We do two things. We either sexualize them even more by calling them MILFs, right? Moms I like to fuck, or we call them cougars. Or we don't look at them as attractive as, say, someone who's younger and didn't have kids. I see that happen all the time. So again, her arguments are valid. I guess because it came from the wrong place. But we should still have that discussion. I don't think we should not have the discussion. And what's happening is, as we're dragging her, we're not having that discussion. And again, you can drag whoever you want to drag. Personally, I don't think she should be dragged for this because, again, I think it's a legitimate argument and it's actually real. That shit is real shit. So, but I guess if you had come for someone else, we wouldn't be doing it. And we got to be careful, man. Like let's address that because we're no better if we tear her up for something she said a couple years ago, and then she's hurting. She's in a space where she's hurting, and we're kind of like ignoring her for that. And I don't think that's cool. You know what I mean? It's all a game. It's all a game. I know I talked about this in the last episode, but my homie Aaron Pascal of AP2 Photography started this photo essay series called Mortal Man. He took all the photos, and they're amazing. They're gorgeous. They're gorgeous. And I'm not saying that because I'm in it, right? But it's a bunch of photo essays written by several men in our community, and we talk about everything from family, death, prison, abuse, just life in general. It's real dope, man. So I highly recommend it. I'm going to put the information, the Kickstarter link in my show notes. And if you can't donate, it's all love. Just like repost it for us in whatever social medias you use. I said social media, isn't it? Social media, man. It's already plural, bro. So go ahead and do that for us. We appreciate it. For those of you that already donated, we love y'all. Thank y'all. We got some events coming up to promote it as well. So we're going to keep you posted on that. And hopefully I get the brother on here. Word.
Yeah. Yo, I think Prince should run first on this one. I think so. Yeah. Yo, I think Prince should run first on this one. I think so.
Yo, I get a lot of people who don't read comic books who ask me for comic book recommendations. And I love to give comic book recommendations. What's cool is the ones that I'm about to recommend, they're in trade form. And you could buy trade paperbacks. We talked about this before. We call them trades in the comic book world. You can buy these trades, pretty much on Amazon. You can buy them. I know like Barnes and Nobles have them. You can usually get them on sale at comic book conventions, but these are a tree that I recommend. One of them is from Marvel Comics, of course, and it's Thanos Wins, which came out in 2018. And there's a story by Donnie Gates. Really, 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 really dope. I love it. I probably read it like about 18 times, and I probably recommended it to about like 20 people. And I even let a lot of people borrow my trade. But it's the story of pretty much Thanos wins, and it's crazy. It's crazy, 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 crazy. I mean, everybody's pretty much dead because Thanos wins. And in this situation, Thanos actually destroys the universe by hand. Like he goes planet to planet and he destroys everybody by hand. He doesn't use the Infinity Gauntlet, which I thought was really cool how they did that. And it takes place millions of years in the future. So it's really dope. That's all I can give you. Because I don't want to spoil anything. Because a lot of people, a lot of people, they're surprised at a lot of stuff that's in there, and I don't want to mess it up for nobody. Nobody. Anyway, the next one I want to recommend is Ex Machina. And it was it was published by DC Comics. At one time, they had this thing called Wildstorm Publications. It was like a separate one. Since then, Wildstorm is not around no more. They kind of like merged all those characters into the DC universe. The ones that were like superheroes, right? But there's several ones that didn't get put in there. And this one is created by Brian K. Vaughan, who really like. Brian K. Vaughan is the man. Like, if you really really want to like read his stuff, like he's the one that did Y the Last Man, which they're gonna make it to a series. That's fucking dope. But anyway, Ex Machina is one of my favorites that he's done, and right now he's writing Saga too, by the way. But this one is written by Brian K. Vaughan, and the penciler is Tony Harris. And the reason why I bring that up is because he's someone that I'm not familiar with until that time. And it went to 50 issues. And it's about this guy named Mitchell Hundred who actually runs for the mayor of New York City, and he becomes the mayor. And he's originally a superhero, so he has to actually reveal that he was a superhero and all that. And he's kind of sort of retired. But as you can see, in most situations, he has to come back and he has to, deal with stuff that he should have dealt with when he was still a superhero. And a lot of that stuff comes to bite him in the ass. But it's really a dope series. The supporting characters are dope. Really, that should have been a Netflix show. But anyway, his superpower is he can talk to machines. Like he can talk to like not only machines but like inanimate objects. So like for example, he can tell a gun not to shoot. He can tell a gun to jam. Like it's really really dope. I like it. All the scenarios that he was in. But it's really dope. Brian K. Vaughan is the man. The last one I want to talk about is Sex Criminals, and that's on Image Comics, and it's really exactly what it sounds like, right? It really really is. And let me just say this is not for the faint of heart. It is not for children. I'm saying that right now. And I want to warn you on that. It really is not for children. But it's written by Matt Fraction, who writes for Marvel usually. He does some really dope stuff. The illustrator is Chip Zdarsky. And what it is about these two characters that when they have sex, it freezes time. You know what I'm saying? When they have an orgasm, it freezes time. And they end up doing things. They end up committing crimes, not like hurting people, but they like trying to help people. And then they find out that there's a group of people that have the same powers that they have, and they kind of like police that. They police people who do that. So it's really really dope. It's hilarious. Actually, I learned a lot about vaginas in this because one of the characters is a GYN. So it's really dope. I love it, man. But again, it's not for like kids or for the faint of heart because they do a lot of sex stuff in there. And I don't want nobody to be like, oh, I got it from this dude. So if you have any questions, go ahead and just hit me up on that. Word. In this segment of health, we're going to talk about water. I know we talked about it before, but I get a lot of people that ask me, because they always say that when they try water, they don't like the taste of water. They say it tastes nasty or it tastes bad, etc., etc. And I usually tell them, number one, water has no taste. Like, there might be an aftertaste depending on what part of the country you live in. Like, for example, where I live in, we have hard water. So there's like a minerally aftertaste there. And that's because our water comes from a natural reservoir under our city, actually. So a lot of that is sediment from rock and stuff like that. So that's why it has that taste, which you could easily filter through if you just pour it through one of those filters that you can buy at the store. That usually works out. But anyway, water has no taste. I think, and what I'm seeing that happens is that a lot of us are going from, drinking like flavored drinks, and a lot of soda or pop, whatever you want to call it, or juices with high sugar content. Like, for example, orange juice has a very high sugar content. I actually had to leave it alone because it was like, I used to love drinking orange juice, but it just has a lot of sugar in it. Probably, and in my opinion, it probably has more sugar than most juices that you buy out there. So I always tell people, like, watch out for the sugar content. Because what happens is your taste buds get used to a particular level of sweetness. And if it's anything below that level of sweetness, it's going to taste bad or not as good, or it's going to be bland and you're not going to like it. So I usually tell people, if you're going to consume more water, you want to try to move away from drinking soda completely. First of all, because soda ain't no good for you. And try to stay away from drinking too much juice, because that's really what happens. And you could actually, like your tongue will actually feel a particular way when you you go from drinking drinks that have high sugar content to water. You can taste it. Like, that's why there's a nasty taste. It's not really a taste. It's just that the level of sweetness that your taste buds are used to when you're drinking a liquid is no longer there. So if you're gonna start consuming more water, you really have to move away from those things. If you drink coffee or teas, you might want to stop using sweeteners with them. Because I know for me, I drink my coffee black. I don't have to put sugar in it, but you got to get your taste buds away from that, and you got to you're literally training your taste buds, to drink water, because that'll help with the taste. I drink room temperature water. I don't like cold water. I like room temperature water. So that's just me. But if you're gonna do that, move away from the high sugar content stuff. I hope that helps people out. Word. Of course, for this shout outs, I got to shout out all the mamas around the world. Again, the grandmamas, the aunties, tias, abuelitas, all over the world who do the work, man. And we all know that women do most of the child rearing, even in 2-parent homes. So let's shout them out when we can. Not just during Mom's Day though, but like all the time, like always. Like, it's funny because when I'm with my students, I always talk about my mom. So let's do that. And shout out to the homie Boogie. And I was listening to his last album, Ants and Elephants, and he has this one song called Raw Bass that I love so much. And it's actually, I threw that lyric in the intro that he threw in there. So shout out to you, brother. Shout out to the homie Aaron Pascal of AB2 Photography. We're gonna do it big this year, brother. Word is born. I'm a dope photographer. I worked with him this weekend. And again, I'm in that project that he got. It'll be in the show notes. So thank y'all again. Word. Once again, another dope show with my Killer Tape at episode 67. I really appreciate y'all and love y'all for checking me out time and time again. Do me a favor, man. If you could ask one person in your circle to just subscribe to my podcast on, I'm on the Apple Podcast, I'm on SoundCloud, I'm also on what is that? Twitch? I keep forgetting, man, right? But I am on Google Play and Stitcher. That's all, man. My bad, Stitcher. I should already have this stuff written down, right? But I always come off the cuff, son. One take dizzle, right? But anyway, if you could do that, just have one person subscribe. Don't even gotta listen. If they want to listen, that's dope. But just one person, do me that solid. If you want to book me for panel discussions or workshops, you can do that at my Gmail, which is DanTresOmi, DanTresOmi, DanTresOmi. That's what it is, at gmail.com. But if you want to just hit me up, you can do the official Twitter account for the show, at Omi's Podcast, OMIS Podcast, or my one, the wild crazy one, right? Is going to be at DanTresOmi, DanTresOmi. Word is born. So check out the links in the show notes. Pass it around, show some love, and thank y'all once again for a dope app.